I did say I wasn't going to make a Separate Ways video until the official trailer dropped or whatever announcement would be for it, but for some reason I just like lying to myself a lot, so without further ado, we're going to get straight into this wish list. Now, first of all, none of this stuff is confirmed. It's just what I hope and want to see in this DLC, so like the video to help it reach the algorithm, subscribe to the channel if you are new or have been watching the videos very consistently, and all that good stuff, and now let's get into it. So the first thing that came to mind when I wanted a wish list was upgrade weapons to the absolute max. So I would love to see weapon upgrades, especially if Ada has that garbage ass shotgun again. That thing needs to be upgraded or maybe even completely scrapped because that thing just outright sucked. This is a little hard to explain, but in Separate Ways you were able to get a few minor upgrades from just the regular stock weapons that you would get if you were Leon. Like Ada had her own, I guess, upgrades personally before she ended up, like, you know, meeting the merchant or whatever the case may be. But there was no upgrades though because his shop wasn't on sale though, so that's why his torch was off. And by the way, actually, I kind of do want his torch to be off just to like keep that low-key feeling. I thought it was a really cool feature in the OG Separate Ways personally, and another thing that I know that might get a little bit of some disagreements though, but I don't want any side quests at all for Ada. I kind of just want that to be a Leon thing in the main campaign. Next up is the two paths after the cabin fight. So we know one of the paths were basically cut from the game as Leon went through the Bella Sisters path, but Ada goes into the path of the El Gigante, or already went through it to get to Luis after the cabin fight, as we saw in the second chapter of Separate Ways. One thing that I now did notice that was weird in OG RE4 was that Ada goes through the right path where he spawns, and another one does if you're Leon after the cabin fight. So maybe in canon Leon chooses the left path only, and in Separate Ways for this remake, Ada exclusively goes through the right path to go through the El Gigante and meeting Luis afterwards. Another one of the main things that I think a lot of people really want in this DLC is a U3 boss fight, and possibly the other Verdugo appearing if he wasn't dead already or combined with Salazar before his boss fight. The U3 boss fight, in my opinion, was one of the more underrated and in my top 3 boss fights in the original RE4 game, and for some reason it was completely cut in the remake, which is one of the many few icks that I have about the remake, but by no means the remake isn't terrible. It's a fucking great game. It's just that I would love to see the U3 somewhat being showcased in Separate Ways, so something can be added to that DLC instead of like necessarily being anything scrapped. Another big thing in my opinion that I thought that should have been featured in the main campaign but just wasn't was Krauser and Ada's backstory with Wesker, which is showcasing Krauser being a double agent. And don't get me wrong, I love the stuff that they did to help flesh out Operation Javier and his motivation to get revenge on Leon or whatever the case was, or power with Los Illuminados. But for some reason I just didn't like that there wasn't another side to it with him working with Wesker and his determination to get a sample just like Ada. I feel like that is a little bit weird, and even in this cutscene right here, that wasn't featured in the remake at all. So if there's something that I really do want in Separate Ways aside from the U3 boss fight, it's something involving these two or even Wesker, so mainly those three. And especially knowing the fact that they ended up retconning one Separate Ways chapter in the original when Ada had to save Leon from Krauser, where she went through the battleship and everything, but in the remake it was Luis that ended up saving Krauser before his death. Now in terms for a release date, I honestly don't care about it. I kinda now just want Capcom to take its time with this DLC, make it the best it possibly can be, and just drop it when it needs to be dropped, and that's totally up to them. As much as I really would want a Separate Ways DLC right now, I completely either underestimated or overestimated on how long it takes to really make a DLC after only a few months the game just came out. So yeah, I guess that's on me for a little bit of overhyping. But aside from the release date, I want something like the classic OG RE4 costumes for Wesker and Ada's butterfly dress, which in my opinion is actually the best outfit in Resident Evil history, but you know, we're not going to have that conversation right now. Another thing is mixing up Assignment Ada, like getting some other Plaga samples possibly, and or just getting the mode in general, even though I personally don't think that's happening at all. Assignment Ada wasn't necessarily anything that was key to the story, it was just like a mini game mode, I guess, or a bonus mode after you beat the original campaign. Now up next is Mercenaries, and we already know they're both getting added, but I would like to see a new map, or maybe the Waterworld map that showcased Super Salvador, which would totally be amazing. Or if you guys are completely unaware about the RE4 Remake demo, there was a new chainsaw enemy that was featured in the Mad Chainsaw demo, where he was just a lot more ferocious, faster, stronger. His chainsaw was even like heated up, like it was orange, like an orange blade or whatever the case was. I really would like to see that enemy be showcased in Mercenaries if there is no Super Salvador. So that's just how I feel about that. Multiple loadouts as well for all characters, and even throw in a bonus character like the Merchant to be playable. I think the Merchant being able to be using all his entire arsenal on every single ganado or enemy when it comes to either a Chicago typewriter, a rocket launcher, sniper rifle, like you guys literally name it. That would just be the goofiest shit ever, and it would be hilarious. I think a few more outfits that I would like to see is Leon's RPD outfit in the story, which specifically is RE2 Remake, since this is, you know, continuing off of RE2 Remake, as we already know that. Ada's Mercenaries outfit that was in the original game, and maybe, just maybe, her Assignment Ada outfit, just to give the flowers, even though that mode itself might not even happen. Now, one thing, this is definitely a pipe dream for me, it's Operation Javier. It's probably not happening, but I would be blown away if it did happen. And finally, for last, is the PRL 412. It is not in the main game as of right now, but guns like the Chicago typewriter, Infinite rocket launcher, and Matilda are in the game. But the weapon that was solely created for removing the Plaga from the host, known as the PRL 412, is not in the game yet. I would love for this weapon to be unlocked after either beating Separate Ways or on its highest difficulty. Also, one thing I forgot to touch on was a difficulty selection for Mercenaries, as it felt a little too easy, and with Mayhem mode, I should say, being a thing, that to me is clearly the case. Also, it was way too easy to unlock the hand cannon. I kind of wish there was a little bit more of a grind for that, but then again, it kind of should have been an S+ ranking, but yeah, that's just a conversation for another time. If there is anything I didn't touch on that you guys would like to see something happen involving Separate Ways, let me know in the comments down below. But thank you guys for watching. If you enjoyed, please leave a like on this video to help it reach the algorithm. Hit the subscribe button if you're new or enjoy and want to see more Resident Evil content in the near future. I hope you guys have yourselves a good day, good night, and a good sleep, and I'll catch you guys in my next video. Peace out, and much love.